In not the, but one of the biggest Hollywood breakups ever, Christopher Nolan, considered one of the, if not the, greatest filmmaker of this current generation, who was very dedicated and married at the hip with Warner Brothers, decided after former chief Jason Kilar made the decision to take all their movies and put them on streaming day and date, Christopher Nolan said, "You're an idiot," and he split. And he left Warner Brothers, and he made his next movie, a little film. I don't know if you've heard it. It was pretty big on the indie circles, called Oppenheimer. I mean, it didn't make $1 billion, so it's clearly not a big success. He made this little film, Oppenheimer, with Universal. Only won a couple of Academy Awards. You know, nothing big.
Oppenheimer.
made very close to $1 billion. And so it's really no shock or surprise that it's been announced that he is making his next film, indeed, with Universal. And it looks like he's, going to go on a second date with Matt Damon, because this makes sound like Matt Damon's going to star in it too. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter, who headlined, "Christopher Nolan's next movie lands at Universal with Matt Damon in talks to star." It writes, "Christopher Nolan is staying put at Universal, with the filmmaker setting his next film at his Oppenheimer studio. His Oppenheimer supporting player, Matt Damon, is also in talks to star in the feature, which has a release date of July 17th, 2026. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. So less than 2 years from now, we're getting the next Christopher Nolan movie, and we don't know anything about it. The news comes amid speculation as to where and when Nolan would make his next feature. He publicly split with longtime home Warner Brothers in late 2020 amid its controversial Project Popcorn initiative, but has expressed an openness over the past year to do business with the studio again. So let me touch on that for a second. We, of course, talked about this, I think a little over a year ago, that Warner Brothers head David Zaslav, that he was spotted having lunch with Christopher Nolan. And apparently the lunch went well, because Nolan went from "when hell freezes over, will I make another film with Warner Brothers," to a change of ownership, whatever, a lunch with David Zaslav, and now Nolan saying, "Yeah, I would make another film with Warner Brothers." But it's also not surprising that after, not the biggest box office film he's ever had, but I think I feel good saying the biggest success he's ever had, Oppenheimer. If you want to take in box office, audience response, critic response,
Sure.
awards,
Yeah, that's fair.
all that kind of stuff, I feel safe calling Oppenheimer not just limited to just box office, but his most successful film. After coming off his biggest success ever with Oppenheimer, to say, you know what? First date was good. Let's do a second. Let's do this again. Let's run this back, and seeing what they can do there again. And, Nolan is also one of these directors who, like a Tim Burton and like several others, really likes working with actors he's already worked with. He doesn't just work with one actor like Tim Burton did for many years, but he likes working with actors he already has a shorthand with. And having just worked with Matt Damon, I like the idea. Now, the only thing we know about this new movie is that it's not going to be The Prisoner, because there had been some rumors and reports going around, and I think they were true and real, that Christopher Nolan was maybe looking at doing an adaptation of the 1960s The Prisoner, and that probably will happen at some point. But the one thing the Hollywood Reporter says, that that's not what the next project is. So no idea what it's going to be. Is it going to be another sci-fi epic? Is it going to be another historical thing like Oppenheimer or Dunkirk?
I kind of would be down for that, honestly.
Oh, I would be too, but he seems to like to change gears.
Yeah, he mixes it up.
So maybe a modern murder mystery, like Rian Johnson is kind of into doing right now. I don't know, but whatever it's going to be, all we need to know is that it's the next Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
And that's enough to get everybody's attention. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this news. What's standing out to you? Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Oh, that he's still just like, one day, Warner Brothers. That's the biggest takeaway I have here, honestly. Of course he landed with Universal. He had a great relationship with them. He had one of the best films that he's ever done happen with them. It was delivered the way he wanted it to. He had a great relationship and a great time with them. And it makes sense that Matt Damon's on board. I think people forget how good he was in Oppenheimer, because you're just
It's an ensemble
distracted
cast,
by
too.
so many people. Yeah. And people always talk about Killian, people always talk about Downey, but he is excellent in this film. He's really, really wonderful. And Matt Damon, I mean, he's an Academy caliber actor. He's been nominated before. And I think him working with this director too just goes to show that he also is after that prestige for himself. Let's try to talk. He's after that prestige for himself as well. I think Nolan has a pretty solid track record. I mean, Tenet wasn't awesome, but he's great, and they clearly enjoyed working together. Just, I know it's going to be a loud movie. It's the only thing. It's the only thing I wish he'd work on
And that
a
will
little
strain
bit.
a little bit to hear the dialogue
Exactly,
in some
yeah.
places.
And
Yeah.
like, this isn't balanced.
To his credit, though, in Oppenheimer, I never strained to
It was
understand anyone.
much improved.
It was great in Oppenheimer. It was wonderful.
Because it'd be a little weird if you're just like in 1940s and people are like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, it looks really good on him to do this, because like you mentioned the prestige and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I once had, I won't say which show and at what year and who the writer was, but I once had an Academy Award winning writer in studio. And in talking off camera, we were just shooting it around, just talking. And I'm like, I asked them, obviously I love the Oscars. So I'm like, asking, what was it like winning the Oscar? Blah.
Yeah.
And what they told me was basically, and I'll show you how this ties in with Christopher Nolan. She goes, look, all the writers and directors and even actors will tell you, because it's the right thing to say. This is what the Oscar winner's telling me, that all they want to do is the work. They don't really care about the Oscar and stuff like that. They just want to do the work. She goes, that is a lie. She goes, every single person in this business, whether they've already won 2 Oscars, whether they've never won any, every person in this industry, they told me, would kill to get one of those Oscars. I don't think it's a small thing that Christopher Nolan won so many Oscars with Universal and then goes, let's do this again.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I mean, look, I don't think Universal is the reason he got those Oscars,
No.
but just like professional athletes, everybody's got a little superstitions.
Yeah,
Like
you
they-
might feel like you're jinxing it.
Yes, like, you know what? I worked with them and look what the results were.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can add a few more Oscars to my mantle.
Yeah, because you have the logistics in play now.
Mm-hmm.
If you switch over to Warner Brothers, now you have to deal with a whole other like red tape of different bureaucracies there.
Yeah.
It's just retooling it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And Zenislav should court him a little longer. He
It
needs
sounds
to be
like-
wined and dined
It
more.
sounds like me that it was mission accomplished show. Like when Nolan went from, I will never work with this studio again, period, to I'm absolutely open to working with Warner Brothers again. I mean, that's a huge shift. Now remember, every other studio's been trying to court Christopher Nolan too. Very famously, the folks at Disney were whining and dining Nolan. Very famously, the people at Paramount were whining and dining Christopher Nolan. So, but he's got a dance partner right now. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this news that not only is Christopher Nolan doing his next movie Universal, we even got a release date for it. Summer 2026. What do you think he's going to do? Do you think it'll be another one of the genres he's already excelled in? Something sci-fi, maybe historical biopic kind of thing? Maybe he'll get into some areas he's never done before. How about a Christopher Nolan comedy? How about a Christopher Nolan horror film? I don't know. Whatever you, Chris doesn't like that idea. Whatever
I'm trying to think if I've ever heard Christopher Nolan laugh, and now it just is like a chilling thought.
I'm sure I bet you, like, we put him on such a pedestal, and I bet you when people are just talking to him, he's just delightful.
Yeah, I'm sure. But there is kind of like the same energy that Werner Herzog gives off, kind of as Nolan
Well,
has.
I kind of feel the same way about, like, for a while I used to think, oh man, if Quentin Tarantino came in, what if he was just like such a dick because he's such an auteur?
Yeah.
But then everyone I've ever talked to that's spoken to him is like, he's so down to earth when you're just hanging out with him.
He's very cool.
Yeah.
He's very cool. Actually,
Yeah.
I remember, no, I won't go into that. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about all this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.